In this video, we're going to talk about the ballot. The fundamental part of any electoral system is the ballot design. And in the United States, the ballot looks different in every single county. Why is that? Well, on election day in presidential election years, you aren't just voting for the president. You are also voting for a senator, member of the House of Representatives, state officials such as your governor, Secretary of State, state senators and legislatures, any local officials like mayors and city councilors. In some places they elect district attorneys and judges. And then any local ballot initiatives such as, do you want to raise taxes or lower taxes, funding for specific efforts like school boards, and then any referenda or other initiatives. That's a lot. And again, because the offices getting elected locally will be different in each county has to have their own ballot. So it will be confusing, and it does take a lot of time to vote because of the complexity of the ballot. Now, at times, there are accusations that that complexity can be manipulated to try and suppress votes in certain counties. One example in 2018 in Broward County, Florida, you can see that this ballot here is rather complicated. There's an instruction panel on the left-hand side, that very first panel, that tells you how to complete the rest of the ballot. Seems straightforward enough. However, directly below is the Senate selection. Now, this was a very large, very prominent statewide race. The placement of this race on the ballot led some people to suspect that this was done intentionally, of hoping that people might miss this ballot. Now, that's a question that you can answer empirically by looking for undervotes, by looking across different counties and seeing if there was a disproportionate number of ballots that missed that particular spot. And empirically, it doesn't look like it was the case. There were not a lot of undervotes in Broward County. Similar complicated ballot design was the famous butterfly ballot in Palm Beach County back in the 2000 election. How this one worked is you put this down on a punch card machine and you would punch the hole that aligned with the name of the candidate you wanted. There was the Republican and the Democratic one were 1, 2, and on the other side was the Reform Party with Pat Buchanan. Well, a lot of folks seem to have selected Pat Buchanan by mistake. This was Palm Beach County. It happened to be heavily Democratic at the time, and there were a lot of older folks living there that maybe had trouble interpreting the ballot design. Could this have been done on purpose? Perhaps. Did it affect the outcome? Well, one study suggests that yes, there were about 3,000 extra votes for Pat Buchanan that did not show up in other counties. And that is very important in a state that was won by only 537 votes. So those are just two examples of how ballot design could be used to try and confuse voters. There are other ways of designing a ballot to make it easy for voters. Several states use what is called straight ticket voting. Instead of navigating that long, complicated ballot, you've got a choice at the very beginning. Do you want to select all the Republican candidates or all the Democratic candidates? And you can do that. By ticking that one box at the top of your ballot, it will automatically choose the ticket, the straight ticket it's called, for that. It's a way of helping voters make an information shortcut, and also it speeds up the process of voting. Voting machines are another way of trying to speed up the process and making it a little more intuitive. Each voter will see the ballot on the screen. They cast a vote by touch, and in most cases they'll get a paper receipt for their ballot as well. This is designed again to try and speed the process up, make it easier for people to vote. To recap, ballots in America are complicated, they're long, and they are different in each county. Why? Because you are electing multiple offices at the same time. You're deciding a lot of different races on election day. Now, the ballot design can be used to obscure understanding. It can be made complicated on purpose. Sometimes it's suspected that that is done for partisan gain, or it can be done in a way that enhances understanding and makes it easier to do. Using straight ticket voting and electronic voting machines are two such efforts that have been implemented to try and make voting a little bit easier.